know, and I'm fighting for green. I'm fighting for green today because I think it's important. It's an essence. You know, it really is an essence that keeps me sane. You know, I love ganja. Always have. Always will. In any form that it comes. You know? And I keep myself healthy because it's called self-responsibility. You smoke marijuana. What might be weak in your body, people? Your lungs, perhaps. I practice yoga. I do deep breathing. You know, it's such an easy recipe for your life. And here's the recipe for cookies now. The easiest thing. Okay, thank you. And my name is Dione. I'm sorry I didn't say that before. Okay, so today I'm just going to make my chopped chunk cookies. 10 years ago I saw such a need. I was working in Bringabong across the road, and nearly every person that was coming in was saying, how do you make them? You know, we buy all these books, there's 1,000 different recipes, blah, blah, blah. So I take it back to basics. I take away all machinery, I take away technology because I don't have any. So I use a double boil method, my grandmother's method. For people that don't know, that's a heavy based pot. It's got to be heavy based. And then a pot on top that you slowly keep simmering on the stove. Okay? That's the simplest method. I've been using it for 10 years. And what it takes is a little bit of time and attention, because you need to agitate that every now and then. You need to be cooking with love, not pressing a button, checking a phone, over here, how's the kids? Talk about a busy world. What will give you some peace maybe is a little bit of ganja love. Bring your friends over and say, we're making cookies and that's all we're going to do. That's it. Everything's off. Here we are. Stars are out. Fucking boom. Oh, excuse me. So you melt your butter very slowly. You don't want to boil anything, overheat anything. You're going to kill your THC. So to your measurement of butter, 250 grams is about 2 ounces of what I call kif. It's not really the stuff you want to smoke. You know, you can take your stems out, but I get that out in the next level anyway, the next stage. So you've broken it all up. It's usually dry and at the bottom of your bag anyway. Now quantity, like I said, for 250 grams, I get a good 2 ounces of kif in, because what you're doing is getting as much leaf matter as butter ratio as you can possibly get. So it's not too watery, and you see all of that, and it's probably as full. I could probably add more greenery to that. So until you can press down, and it is still covered by a little bit of butter, okay? So then you're going to pop that on the stove, and I use a gas stove, so it's on about halfway. Boiling's too much, you know, it's too hot. Just keep it a low simmer. Now, I'm not scientific. I've heard how many degrees, what's got to happen, da, 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 da. All I say is, when it's frothing a little frothy bubbles, that's perfect. That's it, it's like a little simmer. You know, you can start to smell the ganja. You know, have some incense or a curry going if you're living in suburbia, because this really smells a lot. And you just keep that simmering on that and come and agitate it and make sure your water doesn't boil out dry. I mean, that's the beauty of the double boil. It keeps your attention where it should be, on your job, on one job, this job. So you've got that. You'll simmer that for, look, it's anywhere between 20 minutes, the argument, and 8 hours, 48 hours, you know. I do 2 hours because I've got a wood stove oven. You know, I think probably 20 minutes. I've done a batch at 20 and it did work. I can't tell you if it was much stronger or not. It did work. So, you know, try it yourself. You know, it's always fun just to experiment. But I think all you're really getting out is more chlorophyll, form, whatever, guys. That green stuff. Small green. Yeah, that's it. So, I've done it for 2 hours. Now it's hot. Yeah? And I tell you, I'm old school, so there's nothing fancy in what I do. You don't need any electricity. You don't need anything. Oh, yeah, gas for your oven or wood for your stove. So you've got it to this stage, you let it cool down. Now I generally have a cut off end of a stocking, and you just pour that in. You know, it's just enough so that it hasn't congealed. It's not going cold enough to start to congeal, or you lose too much, it'll be stuck on your leaf. And you just squeeze that out. Now really squeeze it and squeeze it, every drop out, and you're going to end up, see if you're old school, you can just put your hands in, get most of it out, and squeeze that bugger. Now this is important. What you're going to be left with is this little ball of gunja kif. You know, some of my friends, they like to make a vegetable stew or something, you know, out of this. You know, at the base it's just butter and greenery, which will just be like spinach. But have a little bit of oomph in it, yeah? But if you're going to discard it, especially if you've got compost, you know, please make sure that animals can't get to it. It's my main thing. I don't want our wallabies and our bush turkeys and that hooking into this stuff because they love the butter. I just go for it. So, you know, I compost everything, but not this. This goes into my bin or I cook it. Yeah, very important. Yeah. So then it's a little bit messier than normal because I haven't got the sieve. But you've got your green butter, and you put that in your container, and it will set overnight, just like butter, back to the solid form, and it'll be green, and any of that green matter will just sink down into the bottom. And you can use that in your cooking. It's not going to hurt you. Or, you know, if you're a bit fussy, just scrape off that bottom bit and don't use it. Again, careful where you put it. So you've got your green butter. I'll just wipe my hands. Remember too, the cook's going to get super stoned. You put this on your hands, people, and you're rubbing it and you're making cookies, it's getting in, okay? So some people wear gloves. I think it's medicinal. And actually a lot of the time, I don't want to say it, I am a hippie, and I'd be here and I'd be rubbing in my legs, and I'd be so green and so oiled up. No wasting this stuff, people. Okay. So here's the simple part. You've got your butter in the fridge, freezer, keeps forever, and you can use it however you want. Vegemite on toast, scrambled eggs. You can use this same method with oil, a vegetable oil instead of the butter. Then you've got a cooking oil, so you use that oil as a base for any of your cooking, stir fry, pesto. You can make anything at all green, you know.
Makes good pesto.
But, you know, it's not about surprising your friends, forcing them the issue. There's nothing worse. You know, I didn't like being spiked as a girl with alcohol. I really don't think that people like being spiked with cannabis. You know, it's not fun and it's not fair. We have our own, we have choice. What we put in our body, it's very important that you give people that choice.
It is a legal defence though in court.
So then my recipe is a very simple recipe, chopped chunk cookies. You just use this like any other recipe. So for that amount, I've got a cup of brown sugar that goes in. I'm going to beat that up until it's a nice creamy texture. Okay. Okay, that's all nice and mixed together. Then it's just one egg. Again, stir that in. Now this is the stage for cookies that you're getting your oomph, your fluff in, you know. I don't know if you're not a regular cook, I mean the trick with any flour product that you're using is that you can't go by a recipe. Flour you have to just go by feel every single time. Every single time. I can't tell people how much, I can tell them roughly how much to put in, but cookies are like bread. It's a textural feel, and you can wing it, you know, you can make any kind of cookie. You can see them out there on the street. They can be rock hard, they can be macaron, they can be anything. So you've got that nice and fluffy. So your basic butter, egg, sugar. Just add flour and the flavour you want, and that's a cookie recipe. So what we've also been starting to cook with is the new hemp protein powder. It doesn't have any lifter in it, so I just do sort of 1 part of that, 2 parts of flour. This is the hemp protein powder. So they mix, yeah, Michael was saying something about the oil and the protein are both in the seed here.
And
but
they grind the seed further.
Yeah.
To make the, where am I going? Oh, I think we pick these. Then they grind the seed further to make the meal.
Okay, so we just get all that flour mixed in.
Yeah, protein. Yeah.
It's a stage then, people. It is hands on. Get your chocolate in. And this is what I'm saying about anyone who's made pasta, flour. This is the part that's a little, you know, a little tricky, just to get that right texture. Because you want your cookies to stay together. Too dry and they're just going to crumble and fall apart. And too wet and they just spread like crazy and they're far too big. You really want to, the only way that you can sort of get a measured dose of a cookie is by working out your ratio of your butter to the kif that you're putting in there to the amount of cookies that you have. So basically I've worked out in my time that when I do a 500 gram block of butter and the 4 ounces, that makes about 60 cookies, and there's roughly a gram in each cookie then. So I say to people, if you can smoke a single 1-paper joint, then you can handle a full cookie, if you do it regularly. If not, if you're giving it to Nana or something for the first time, just a little bit right at the end of the night, cup of tea.
I got my mum off sleeping pills that way. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm proud to say that in the time that I was working in Bring-A-Bong, I would have ladies and their kids and their grandparents come back to thank me. You know, one lady was so excited she wanted to throw out all her medication that night. And I'm not saying do that immediately, but, you know, her words the next day were, she slept properly for the first time and I can't explain it, she said, but I really felt different the next day. You know, it's that, just an attitude adjustment, just tuning into something different, giving yourself, your mind and your soul a little bit of a breathing space, you know, in this crazy world.
You're welcome, come out.
So, it's pretty much there now. So you know you've got the right amount of flour when there's none more sticking to the bottom. It's all picking it up. And when you grab off a chunk to make a nice ball, it forms it nice and easily, not too wet. Flatten it about like that. And without a tray, I'll just use a plate. One. So this will probably make about 30 cookies. They're just like a normal cookie in the oven. They take 10 to 12 minutes. It's again something that you've sort of got to watch and get a feel for too, you know. You've got to know your oven. Can't be too hot. And on the top shelf if you've got a hot oven. You can take some of these ones. And then in 12 minutes you have magic. You can pop them then in a freezer bag and they'll keep in the fridge or the freezer for months and months. I mean, I've even found some old stale ones when I was out up in Queensland. Oh, oops. What's that in the car? So I've eaten it, you know, best way to get rid of it. It's a little bit stale, but I got stoned. All good. So yeah, the potency stays in them. So it's very important, like I said, again and again, make sure that they are labelled. They're in a part of your freezer where your children or something aren't going to accidentally find them. You know, it's yeah, it's like alcohol. It's something to be responsible for. You know, very much. You know, I think a lot of people have got a bad idea about hippies in that they simply go their own way. You know, stuff the rest of the world. You know, and that's sort of, it's kind of it, but it's kind of saying that we're all really not responsible for ourselves. And I felt like I've been a really good Australian in terms of what they wanted from Australians. They wanted me to have a job, they wanted me to raise my family, own a home. I've ticked all those boxes. But I want to smoke ganja and eat cookies. I don't want to be a criminal. I don't want my mum and dad to feel a bit uneasy when I want to smoke a joint up on Sunshine Coast, because the neighbours might smell it. For goodness sake, people. For goodness sake. Last time I went to my girlfriend's place, she wanted me to go down to the garden shed. I'm 49. I don't go into a garden shed anymore, people. No, thank you. No, I'll be in your kitchen. I'll be in your kitchen cooking something really yummy. And I really do believe that through, you know, keeping it real, making sure that you take self-responsibility, you plant that seed in your garden, and you be proud of it, you know. One of the things that I really detest about the outside world and Australian humour has been this stereotypical humour that we don't question. You know, so we used to joke about Aboriginal people. We joked about everything horrible, every down person, every underdog. And we've been joking about stoners forever. You know, stoners do nothing. Oh yeah, but, you know. Well, crap, you know. It's a stereotype. I've smoked every day, proudly. And I write books, I write stories. I do what I do, and I know that I'm functioning well, from my point of view, not from a politician's point of view anymore. You know, they're my age, or a little bit older. They can't pull the wool over my eyes anymore. I went to school with these guys, you know. I know how shallow their worlds are, and they keep perpetuating it. So I'm saying, make cookies, help out, go and teach your grandparents, talk about it in the homes with them if you're visiting, you know, just talk about it with people, you know, keep it real and be proud of your choices if you know that they're working for you. Thank you, everybody. And I have some already baked, ready to go this morning. So please, help yourselves.